everybody and welcome back to my channel. As always, my name is Addie and this is the Knits by AJ knitting podcast. I forgot the name of my channel then. Oh dear. And this is episode 38. And I have got one finished object and 3 whips to talk through today. And yeah, thank you so much to everybody who has watched my autumn crafting plans that I put out on Tuesday. It was a bit of a spur of the moment choice to actually make a plan for my crafting this season, and actually it feels quite nice to kind of have a bit of like a basic outline of the things that I would like to work on. So if you haven't watched that video, then that is available on my channel. If you do want to go and watch it, no pressure or anything. But yeah, so today I am back with a regular podcast video, and I guess let's get into it. Few kind of basic notes. As usual, you can always find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Knits by AJ. Both handles will be up here. And if you are after any of the patterns, makers, yarns, anything that I mentioned in today's video, then you can always find them linked in the description box down below. So yeah, without further waffle, let's get into what I've been working on this week. So first up, I have got a bit of a surprise finished object, and it is the CLARA'S Playtime Mitts by AIMEE SHER. And I cast these on because last week the weather got very cold and my daughter needed new mittens. I feel like this happens to me every year where we get to the point in the year where the weather starts to turn and you get a couple of really cold mornings, and I get all of the mittens and the hats and the gloves and scarves and everything out from last year, and I get them like tried on my daughter, and the mittens never fit, and I never remember when it comes to the next year, and I never like prep them the summer before or anything, or get her to try them on the summer before, and we get to that one cold day and I always go, none of these fit. So I speed knit her some new ones, as I do every year, and I decided to try out a new pattern this year, and I decided to give her a pair of convertible mittens. She does forest school once a week, and so she needs access to her fingers, and I thought, you know what, it's probably more annoying for her to have to take the glove off, use her hand, and then put it back on again once her fingers are already muddy. So I thought fingerless mittens, not going to be that good because she needs the extra coverage every now and then. So convertibles were going to be the best option this year. And so I used all stash yarn, and I went for my main colour, I went for, I think this is Drops Daisy. I'm not sure on what colour it is. And then I decided to add in some cute little boucle stripes. And this is the Lonely Knitter boucle in the colour Little Dove, which was from her Game of Thrones collection. I'm not sure if she's still got any left in stock, but I will put a link to her website down below. Like with everything, as I've already said. So yeah, these mittens come in 6 sizes, ranging from toddler to adult large, and 3 options, so fingerless, full mitten, and obviously the convertibles. And these took me no time at all to knit. They were so quick. Obviously knit up at DK weight gauge, but you knit them on a slightly smaller needle, so a 3.75 for your main fabric and a 3.5 for the ribbing, which is what I used. I think my gauge is a little bit big, but like she's worn these once already before I blocked them, and they didn't seem to let too much wind in or anything. So I think they're fine. If I put this on, then I can kind of better show like the convertible thing. So these ones work as though you don't have, so this way they are like a full mitten, and then you obviously pull this section back and you've got the convertible. But these ones are slightly different in the fact that they don't have like the ribbing, so they don't have a full mitten, like a full convertible mitten on this side. They just have the ribbing on this side and then the flap. And so there is a little bit of seaming in this, where you have to then seam the ribbing here to the flap. So maybe not like the best if you are a beginner and you don't want to do any seaming. That bit is a little bit fiddly, but it really wasn't too bad. I mean, it's like, I think I ended up with like 6 rows of ribbing there. So it was like a little bit of mattress stitch and then it was done. But they were really engaging to knit. I really enjoyed knitting these up, and I think they're going to be a really good staple. And like I say, they come in so many sizes, you can knit them to fit the whole family. Which I think is a really nice option. I don't like it when you get a mitten pattern and it's only in adult sizes, because chances are I'm going to want to knit a miniature pair. So yeah, I think this is a really good pattern. So yeah, I knit the child small, if I haven't already said that, and I used like next to nothing. I think these weigh like 30 grams or something, and they are just super duper cute little mittens for the winter season. So I cast these on the 11th of September and I cast them off on the 12th of September. So these were on my needles for a grand total of 2 days. And so yeah, super duper quick, really, really effective, would definitely recommend. And I like the fact that she can flip this bit backwards and forwards herself without needing any help, and there's no like faff with a button on the back. Sometimes I don't think that's great for little kids, because especially when it's on their hands and they've got the mitten on, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. And this one is really simple for her to just be able to flip her fingers back in and out without any trouble, super duper quickly. So I do have costings for this as well. So the pattern cost me £5.94, and the one ball of Drops Daisy would cost me £3.50, and one skein of the boucle would cost me £20. So if I was to knit these without having pulled from my stash, then it would have cost me a grand total of £29.44. However, I did pull from my stash, so my total for these mittens was just the £5.94 for the pattern. So I think really cost effective, lovely little pair of DK mittens. And to be honest, I think I might knit myself a pair. I do kind of, oh, there is also an option to have like a hole, like a flap on the thumb as well, which is what I would probably do for my own, because I need to have constant access to my fingers and thumbs. So yeah, I think really great little mitten pattern that I will get plenty of use out of. Because that was my one finished object, and it was a bit of a surprise finished object. So now we are moving on to my whips. And I don't actually have that many whips to talk through today. I only have 3, because 2 have been in a little bit of a state of hibernation. So anyway, my first whip is obviously my Serkinet cardigan, which is currently my longest standing whip. And it's had some work this week, but it's just a bit slow going really. But it is such an involved pattern. I should have thought about that when I started setting myself goals. So this is a pattern by DAVIES Designs, and I am using Drops Daisy in the colour Pistachio Ice Cream, which is this lovely like icy kind of minty green. And this yarn was gifted to me by Hobby Jobby. I'm an affiliate with them. I'll have my affiliate link down below, but just for full transparency, I did not pay for this yarn. It was gifted to me. So, oh, how is this so tangled? Oh, okay, I understand now. So, yeah. This week, I have actually done quite a lot on this. It just feels like it's just taking forever, because it is so involved, and it's not something that I can like pick up when I'm in the middle of doing something else. Like I can't knit this whilst I'm editing, because I have to keep referring to the chart, and obviously that then means that I can't sit and edit. So yeah, it's just taking a little bit longer, and I'm just learning to accept that. So since last week, this is where my marker was from last week, and this is where I'm, well, actually I'm over here now. So I have finished up the first sleeve, which I'm so unbelievably proud of the fact that I have managed to do, because it was a lot more knitting than I expected it to be. So this pattern has got balloon sleeves, which I knew the whole way through knitting it, but I just completely forgot like the construction of a balloon sleeve means that you don't decrease the entire sleeve. So the amount of knitting that you have at the beginning of the sleeve is the same amount of knitting as you have at the end of the sleeve. And so it just took a lot longer than it usually does for me to do a sleeve. So this is what the cable patterning of this sleeve looks like, and I think it's absolutely stunning. I'm really excited to be able to wear this now. I think it's going to be such a great addition. And yeah, the twisted rib, half twisted rib at the end of the sleeve was definitely, I mean, it wasn't awful, but I think we are all well aware of the fact that I am not a massive fan of knitting half twisted rib. I love how it looks. I think it looks absolutely stunning. I'm not a massive fan of knitting it. And I've kind of come to a point now where 2 of my projects have got half twisted rib and quite a lot of it to knit. And so, yeah, it's just a lot of half twisted rib at the moment. So, yeah. Finishing this one sleeve actually feels like a massive achievement with this project. I feel like it's been going on forever. I feel like it's been a real labour of love. And it's not that I'm not enjoying it, it's just that like I've said so many times before, it is just such an involved knit and it takes a long time to see the growth because it is, I wouldn't say it's like a really small gauge, but it is a smaller gauge because of the amount of cabling. So now going forwards this week, I'm going to be continuing to work down sleeve 2. So this is where I am on sleeve 2. I've just finished the first cable repeat. And so I ended up on 4.5 repeats on the first sleeve. So I've got 3.5 repeats left to do on the second sleeve, which I think is quite achievable for this week. And then I will just be doing the twisted rib, and hopefully I will be picking up for the button bands this week as well, because I really do want to be able to wear this. I think that the weather is really going to start cooling down now. It kind of went down and then it got hotter again, and now it's going to cool down again. So this is going to be a real staple in my autumn winter wardrobe, whilst I'm also working on some other projects as well. And it's just, this is really squishy. I'm also really looking forward to seeing how this blocks out. Right now, if I pop this on, this is one of the things I really like about cardigans, how easy it is to try them on. Like once you've got them all, like I suppose if you're doing top down, then it's really easy the whole way as soon as you join for the underarms. But yeah, with this one, as soon as I joined the shoulders, it's just been super duper easy to sort of try it on and see kind of like how it's fitting. It's probably not going to be looking its best at the moment because some bits have been blocked and some haven't, and I'm not really wearing, like, I don't think I would really wear my Friday tee underneath it on the day today. I probably wear something slightly thinner. So here we go, if I stand up. So this is where we are at the moment. If I do like the awkward crouch, obviously the sleeve is sitting somewhat shorter than I would want it to be permanently, but I think this is fitting really, really nicely. Like it's got a good amount of ease in there. This side, like the bottom of this is obviously showing a little bit more ease than the top because it has been blocked to the underarm. And then I've blocked one side, but I think it was like this front, not this one. So yeah, I'm expecting the drop shoulder to come into play and really drop down and give me a little bit more sort of length in the sleeve. So I get that typical like poofy end of sleeve that you get with the balloon sleeve. And I'm quite happy for it to just, is this bracelet length? I'm quite happy for it to just hit my wrist bone. I don't necessarily want it too long. I quite like that idea. I do have like some longer long sleeve tops, so I'm quite happy to have them kind of like pop out the end if I need to, but I quite like this sort of quite feminine look of the like poofy balloon sleeve and then just hitting the wrist bone and not going over my hands. I've got quite a lot of jumpers that definitely fill the criteria of keeping hands warm as well. So it'd be nice to have something else in the wardrobe as well, to have some options. So I cast this on June the 20th, and so it has currently been on my needles for a grand total of 91 days. So I'm still under that 100 days target, but do I think I'm going to get this finished in 9 days? I think it would have to be a real push to do it. And I do have quite a busy week coming up, so I think it probably will tip over, but that's fine. So that was whip number 1. And now I will just do a quick note on my daughter's Sorgenfri Jacket Junior and my husband's vanilla socks. I did not pick either of those up this week. They are both, in fact, still in this room, sat in their project bags over there underneath my sewing machine. I just have not touched them this week. And I'm sure I will go back to them next week. I've just had other priorities, and yeah, I just haven't knit them this week. So that's fine. I will bring them back later on, and we can and hopefully we'll make some progress on them over the next week or so. So whip number 2 is my Salty Days sweater by Veronika Lindberg, or Kutova Kika. And I am knitting this as a part of the Salty Days KAL, which is being run by Morgan from Morgan Unravelled and Hayley from HAYLEY'S Space. I will have links to both their Instagrams and their YouTube channels down below. And this has probably kind of been where my main focus has been this week. Actually, just a quick note on the knit along. It was running from the 1st of September to the 30th of November. So if you have yarn for it and you want to knit this jumper and you want to be a part of the knit along, then there is still time to join. Please don't go off the fact that I am quite far along in mine. So yeah, I think there are people still joining and everything. So if you did want to get involved, there is still time. So yeah, like I say, have had this as like my main focus for this week. I'm using frogged yarn from Drops. It's Drops Lima. I've already forgotten what the colour was, but I did put it on the screen last week, so we'll go back and dig it out. I think it's called like grey brown or something. Taupe grey. That is it. There we go. Taupe grey. Oh, the sun has come out. And so I have been knitting away on this. So where is my marker from last week? Here it is. So last week I was here on sleeve 1, and so obviously I have finished. Oh, the dog's coming up to see me now as well. He does not want to be on my lap today. He just wants to go and sit down there, which is fine. So yes, I have finished sleeve 1, and then I picked up and I knit sleeve 2, and then I had not put this portion of the 2x1 rib on the body, so I did that, and then I've obviously done the last eyelet section on the body as well, and then I've started the half twisted rib. But I did this in a bit of a funny order. So last week I was going on about how I thought I was going to run out of yarn, and it took me until last night to realise that actually I think I might just have enough to finish this. When I did the calculations as to whether or not I was going to have enough yarn to knit this pattern. You have a nice shake? All good? When I did the calculations to work out as whether or not I was going to have enough of this yarn to knit this pattern, I was right on the cusp. So yeah, I did what I was talking about last week, was the fact that I was going to knit to the end of the patterning, and then I was going to leave off all of the ribbing and then come back if I had enough yarn, and that's exactly what I did. So I knit to the end of the eyelets on this sleeve, and then I picked up for the second sleeve and I knit to the ends of the eyelets again, and then I went back to the body and I knit this ribbed portion and the eyelets, and then I stopped again, and then I went back and added on the half twisted rib on the ends of the sleeves. And then I found that actually I did think I was going to have enough yarn to do the ribbing on the bottom of the body as well, that half twisted ribbing. And so that is what I'm on at the moment. And this is how much yarn I have left. So I'm about halfway through the half twisted rib on the bottom of this sweater now. And so I think think I'm just about going to have enough. But my current plan is to keep knitting on the bottom ribbing. I'm just going to keep going and just keep checking how much yarn I have until... I'm sorry, the dog is now snoring. I'm just going to keep going until I think I have enough to do the bind off, and then just do the bind off. Because I'm already at the point where I'm sort of like, actually, you know, this is enough ribbing to kind of really cinch in the bottom of the body. But I think I will have enough to do the full ribbing on the bottom and the bind off nicely. So I've added in the tubular bind offs on the ends of the cuffs, and yeah, I'm really happy that I think I'm going to get the sweater that I wanted. Like, I've got the folded collar that I wanted, I've got the like long sleeves that I wanted with the really nice like cinched in ribbing, yeah, and I've got the like nice kind of, I'm gonna have a nice thick ribbing at the bottom as well. So yeah, careful. I've really enjoyed knitting this. I really enjoyed every single section, even the long portions of 2x1 rib. I even found those quite comforting to knit, especially after like the involved lace and cables. I was sort of like, oh, it's a nice little soothing bit of rib, and then we go into an eyelet. It's been a really enjoyable pattern. And I think the larger gauge on the 5mm needles has been exactly what I've been needing, just like something that's fairly quick to knit up. Like, you really see the growth with every single row, compared to a lot of the other projects that I've got on the go where you have to do it like at least sort of 6 or 7 rows to really see any growth. So yeah, it's been such a fun knit, and I think this will, to be honest, I can see myself casting this off today, because it is just that bottom bit of half twisted rib to do, and then I'll be washing and blocking this, and I will probably be wearing it in the next episode, and I'm just so happy about it. I think it's going to be like the real kind of autumn jumper of dreams, because it's got so, because it's quite an open gauge, and because it's got lace and everything in it. I think it's going to be really good for those days where it's like chilly in the morning and then it warms up throughout the day. I think it's going to be a really good transitional piece, and it's just so squishy and lovely, and I'm really happy to be able to get this yarn out of my stash, and into something that I'm actually going to love wearing, instead of just seeing it languishing on a shelf, because that does make me a little bit sad when I have yarns that haven't kind of reached their full potential and just need a little bit of love. So I cast this on September the 1st, and so it has currently been on my needles for 18 days. So to be honest, like, if I get that finished today, it's like I've gone from languishing yarn on a shelf to full jumper in 18 days, which is it's just slightly insane to me. Like, I don't think I've finished a jumper that quickly, like a full-size adult jumper, that quickly ever, really. It was just super duper engaging, and I've really enjoyed it. So that brings me to whip number 3, which is my Colorwork Cuff Club socks for the month of September. And I have not worked on these very much this week. I think what has happened is that my sock mojo has been somewhat languishing for the past 2 weeks or so. I think since the weather started to cool down and I really got my like garment mojo back, my sock mojo has really kind of gone downhill, and so I've just not been picking these up as much as I would have been. I also think because I am knitting these 2 at a time and they are striped, there are always 4 strands involved, and so they're not really as portable as other socks, or even just the last pair of Colorwork Cuff Club socks that I knit. And I think that's kind of been a bit of a drawback, because I would usually knit these like when we take my daughter to ballet, I take them with me, or like if we were just going into town or something, I'd probably take them with me. But they're just a little bit more cumbersome with 4 strands involved all the time. And so, yeah, it's just, they just haven't had as much work on them than maybe my last pair did. I think I've probably finished up my last pair by this point in the month. Yeah, I think I probably had. But either way, I've still made a fair bit of progress. So last week I had just finished up, there we go, just finished up the gussets decreases on sock 1, and I've now added 7 stripes after the gusset decreases on these. Yeah, 7 stripes to the foot of the first sock. I think these are turning out really nicely, and I am excited to wear them, so maybe I will get some more work done on them this week as well. And then on sock 2, I can't remember if I just finished up the gusset decreases or if I was still in them, but I have finished the gusset decreases on this one and then done a further stripe in the stockinette. So I am getting there. I think now that we're just in the point where I'm just knitting, it should be a little bit quicker. But I think it's also because I am kind of having to count 4 rows each time for the stripes, whereas like if I, like with the last pair, when I just had them going in a single colour, I didn't really notice how many rounds I was doing, whereas this time I'm actively having to count them, and so I'm kind of a little bit more aware of how much work I'm doing and how long they're taking. But I don't see why these will be on my needles for much longer. I mean, I think this should be fairly quick now, and I will hopefully, well, I will have to have them done by the end of September, so maybe that will kind of get me going on knitting these fairly quickly now as well. So yeah, that is my progress on these. And I cast these on September the 2nd, and so they have currently been on my needles for 17 days. So still not too bad, to be honest. I think I put so much pressure on myself to get things done really quickly, and now that I'm kind of not getting things done as quickly. Oh, it's a nice shake, isn't it? Now that I'm not getting things done quite as quickly because I'm focusing on my larger projects, I just need to kind of like shift my mentality around that a little bit, which is fine. So that is everything from me knitting wise, and yes, I will catch up with you next week with some more making. Please do let me know what you're working on. If you want to see what my plans are for making in autumn, then you can check out my last video, and yeah, I will catch up with you all next week with some more knitting. Happy making!